Mm.
If you could summarize the central theme or emotional core of this series in one sentence, what would it be?
David,
Good
over
luck.
to you.
Yeah, funnily enough, I happen to have that ready.
Yeah.
Ian, David, and Quinn started out to make a $50 million movie based on Ian's book, TJ's War. Mark, Sia, and Sincera soon jumped on board, and then Mr. Z joined the team, a mysterious executive producer who said, "Stop, this is no movie. This is a 2-season, 20-episode TV show. So follow us, join us as we create TJ's War, the $50 million TV series."
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to We're Making at least a $50 million TV series. If you've been following along, you know this started as a crazy idea about making a $50 million movie. Now we're thinking of even bigger 2-season, 20-episode TV series. Over the past couple of years, we've been going at it about 2 years now, haven't we? Not quite, almost.
Yeah, not quite. Well, I think
Feels
David
like
and I have
longer.
been talking it's more than 2 years, but the podcast started in March
Okay.
2023. Is that right?
Well, then that's over 2 years.
No. 2024, March 2024. That's right.
All right, so we're about a year and a half in for the
Yeah.
podcast. Over the past year and a half, we've interviewed amazing people, directors, actors, sound people, legal minds in the movie business. Just about everybody you can think of, or every aspect of what goes into making a movie or a TV series. And, we've wrestled with the challenges of adapting a World War II story and figuring out what it really takes to bring this story to the screen or to your TV if it's going to be streamed. Joining me today are Ian McLean, the brilliant author of TJ's War, and David Blair, one of our key collaborators who's been in the trenches with us from the start and the voice of the audio version of TJ's War. Today, we're going to talk about how far we've come, what we've learned along the way, and what the next steps are for making this series a reality. So, how far have we come?
Oh, a long way. A long way. It's been a journey and a half. As you said in that introduction, the people we've met, just fantastic. And some of the things I didn't expect, but one of them, the energy you get from these people, and their kindness and the way that they support and they advise, and they're listening to you and then saying, well, and maybe think about this as well. Just fantastic. It's been a real learning experience.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, I think, is that everyone we've talked to has been pretty passionate. And I wonder if my hunch on that is that if you're going to go into this field, because I mean, we're talking to career people who work in the field full time and have been, we're, trying to make a movie, but we have different careers in our regular lives. These people work in the industry. And I feel like if you're going to go into that industry, you really your heart's got to be into it.
Absolutely.
Because it's high risk. Not everybody can be a director or an actor or screenwriter or whatever. So all the people we've talked to go for it,
And
so they're all passionate. Yeah.
right here, we've got David, who does this for a living as well.
Right.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, speak to that, David. Is it, you have to have a passion to go into, I guess, the entertainment industry, right?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, certainly. And people are fond of saying this in the creative industries, in particular this one, but these are strange times. There was COVID, and then the actors' strike and all of that, and people are taking work now that before they wouldn't have. So somebody that would have played a lead in a series is now, everyone's kind of slotting down. So that level of actor is now playing a guest lead in one episode rather than the whole series, and so on. So someone at the lower end, like I am, it's
Don't
tough
sell yourself
getting.
short, David.
What didn't you?
Well, I'm very good, but it's a business. This is the thing that we're coming up to again. We're just starting to come up to the blunt end of the business. And although we've got a fantastic idea, and it will happen, we will make it happen somehow. But we're just starting to come up against the fact that the people who produce these things and are instrumental in getting them made will look at us and say, okay, well, yeah, it might be a good idea, but those people over there have already made that. So that's what we're struggling against. And everybody's got to start. The people that have made that, they made their first thing at some point. So that's where we are, and we're kind of working out our path, so to speak. But yeah, we're coming up against the fact that, as you said, Mark, you've got to have a passion for it and you've got to believe in it. But at the same time, it's cold, hard reality. It's business,
Yeah.
unless
Right.
these things are going to make money, they're
And
not
as
going to get
well,
made.
and as you pointed out, we're in a sort of at a crossroads or a tough time. I do want to ask. I mean, we'll come back to TJ's War after, but as a voice actor, how concerned are you about the age of AI? I
Mm.
told Ian in one of our meetings that I had heard a podcast that it was two AI voices, and I was 20 minutes into the podcast before I realized they were AI voices. They were that realistic. They had programmed the AI voices to make some mistakes, like some kind of human
Really?
kind of, yeah, like they had sort of messed up on something they said and corrected themselves. And then I was 20 minutes into it and I was like, wait a second, these aren't people. This is AI voices. I can't remember what the giveaway was, but the point was it was that realistic.
That's
And
amazing.
is that it is, and how concerned are you as a voice actor?
Very, very.
Yeah.
I mean, it's finite now, whereas before AI, it wasn't. I could have been doing this into my 80s,
Mm.
Right.
as long as I was able to. But yeah, it's. I think there is going to be an ending to it, but a lot of work has gone. The stuff that is perhaps less requires less humanity. But yeah, I think there is definitely going to be an end. No.
Well, my other career is teaching, and it's happening in teaching as well. I mean,
And
pretty soon there's just going to be a hologram version of me, probably better looking, if that's possible, and able to teach as well or better than I can, and it'll be cheaper because I'm expensive. So
do you think though
somebody.
that we will? There, I think you're right. I think that will be tried, but
Mm,
do you think that there will be a bit of trial and error and a bit of pushback? Because I think
I
we're
think
so hardwired for real human connection
I agree.
that
What
I think there will be a point where it's no. We need a real human for this. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
what's going to happen? Yeah, I think you're right, and I think this might be the case for your situation as well. That high end performers will still have opportunities, but it's going to thin the herd a little bit. Like the people
Yeah.
who just show up. I live in Japan and I teach business level English to professionals, so I'm teaching a higher level of English than most English teachers here. But you won't need the kind of like junior high school teaching
Mm,
assistants or the lower level producing teachers. They'll be eliminated, but there might still be opportunities for
mm.
me, opportunities for you, for professionals.
I think you're right, and I think our in the voice world, all the faff will have gone, all the kind of
Right.
stuff for answer phones and the training videos for car manufacturers and
Mm.
whatever. I think the stuff that will take a while to go is anything that requires a character
Mm.
or something that is supposed to inspire an emotional reaction from the listener.
Mm.
So, for instance, audiobooks, which is something I do a lot of, that could last a while, I think, and cartoon voices and video game voices and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, they're already pretty amazing.
Right.
But I think, and also the human judgment as well, the kind of direction aspect.
Mm.
What's the story we're trying to get across here? What do we need the listener or the viewer to feel? I think we're a way off.
I've got.
Yeah.
AI can't make decisions like that. It can't choose that really subtle nuance.
Right.
Not yet,
Y-
anyway.
So
Ian?
there's a couple of things I want to say on this. In favor of AI, I happened to bump into a Netflix producer last week, and we were talking about the treatment, and she said treatment for the TJ's War, and she said, create a pilot. A lot of producers are creating pilots using AI, and you can create a 15 to 20 minute section that will give everyone a feel for what you've got uh, for almost no money at all. And a lot of producers are doing that right now to make it easy for the treatment to get understood quickly. And the outlay from your side is minimal.
Mm,
So I thought that was interesting. Um,
yeah.
I have to say that AI has got its limitations, and my background is AI. I did computer science with AI back in the 90s, and I've been with it ever since. Made a nice career out of AI. But we've been able to fly aircraft from taxiing up to the front of the runway.
Mm,
Um, the pilot could do that, and then the computer can take over, take off, fly to the destination at whatever height, and avoiding all the other aircraft in the sky, etc., and land and be taken down to the other end of the runway before the pilot could take over and taxi the thing away, back to the whichever gate it's going to go to. And that's been possible since at least the 90s. And the reason it doesn't happen is that passengers would not accept robots in the cockpit. There's got to
mm,
be that human touch. And I don't think that's going to change. So I think that AI will hit a glass ceiling fairly soon. But some of the advancements in the last couple of years, I mean, I'm really glad that I published TJ's War in 2022, because I think by 2023 and a half, people would think, well, this has been produced using AI,
mm.
and it would be almost impossible for me to prove otherwise.
I,
But it's
I,
because it was published before that point that I can, there is no doubt as to who wrote the book.
I, um,
Did
you
it,
both are connections of mine on LinkedIn, and I have 37,000 or not connections, but followers on LinkedIn. But I haven't posted in months, and I've had several people message me and say, "Hey, why aren't you posting anymore? Like, you posted all the time. I used to love your posts." And this is part of the reason. Like, if I post it, because I use videos, and then I post a comment with my videos, and now you can't tell what's real and what's fake anymore. And I don't want the trolls. I don't want to post a video and the trolls say this is AI, this isn't real. And it's just I've lost my, I just have this distaste for posting videos on social media anymore. Well, I have some other reasons too, but anyway, I'm getting off track. Bring it back to TJ's War. Um, what how do each of you remember the moment when this project first started? When did you first, I mean, while you were writing the book, Ian, were you thinking I'm not just going to write a book, I'm going to turn this into a movie? When did you decide to go
Um,
further?
in terms of moving from a
I've
book
got an
to
answer to that, but I'll let Ian go first.
in terms of when I was writing the book, I was writing the book. I wasn't thinking. I hadn't even decided. I hadn't ever planned to write the book until the pandemic, and I basically run out of things to do because we were all shut down. We'd all got to stay in our houses, and I had this story in my head, um, and I thought, well, I'm in the age group that's at high risk from COVID, and if I don't make it, then I want this story to be known. So that was one of my driving forces for writing the book. Getting close to publication, I thought actually it would be a nice idea to have an audiobook version of this, because that seems to be the case for most books these days. They need an audiobook. And by some miracle, I came across David. And I've listened to the audiobook probably more times than I've read the actual book now. And every time I listen to David's voice on this book, I find myself moving from one chapter to the next, even though I've run out of time, because I want to know what happens next. And I wrote the bloody thing. So David's done an amazing job with that audiobook. And David's career has been all about acting on TV and on stage and so on. So we just started to chat away about what happens next. And we kept saying, this is a great story. It would make a good film. And we got to the point where we just said, well, bugger it, let's just go for it. And we decided to do this podcast. So we came up with a title very quickly. We're going to make a $50 million movie. And then I thought, well, I don't know anything about making a podcast. So I got in touch with my very good friend, Mark Reed, who's got one of the top podcasts in the world. And I said, how do I do a podcast? And he said, you need a catchy name. What are you calling it? And I went, we're making a $50 million movie. And Mark went, Amen. So that's my version of it. What's yours, David?
Yeah, well, kind of the same, obviously, although obviously without the first bit, because I didn't write it. I came on board for the audio bit. But as I was reading it, prepping it, and then recording it, it was just becoming so apparent to me that it would make a fantastic, something in the visual medium, TV or film. Suggested it to Ian, and he had obviously been thinking along these lines for a lot longer than me already. And then I was the same. I was just, well, I don't have much producing cred, but where there's a will and all of that, and and since then, pretty much the same.
Has your perception of the story changed since you've gone from writing and recording an audio version to this focus on making it a visual for a mass audience? Has the story itself your view of the story itself changed in any way?
I think one quite big thing that's changed was bringing on board Matt, our co-producer. And Ian, Matt and I spent many months sifting through the whole book and thinking about it visually and in terms of storytelling, and piecing together episodes and how it might sit together on a small or large screen. So that definitely shifted it for me, because you have to think slightly differently in storytelling terms about the story and peaks and troughs and what you need to see when, and what you can and can't do when you're telling a story with words in a book, as opposed to what you can just see. You can do things differently. That's been an interesting learning curve.
Have you and Matt talked about you two taking a shot at the screenplay? Or do you feel like we need a professional screenwriter who has done this before? But I mean, you guys have combed through the book with such detail, and you both have such, vivid images of what the movie should look like. It seems to me that you would probably have the ability and talent to transform it into a screenplay.
Maybe. I mean, we could produce something. Yeah,
right.
But I think there's two things. First of all, is that a good screenwriter will have a name and a reputation. So when you're handing that around, people will go, oh, okay, this is so-and-so's script. I might pick it up before I pick up that other one. But secondly, I think a good scriptwriter will be aware of so many nuances and things that are jobs that a script will need to do, particularly for a pilot, that Matt and I could make a ham-fisted attempt at maybe, but in terms of, what we need to see, the cost of a scene as well, because a writer has to be aware of how much they are committing the producers to spend by, we see vast swathes of the infantry behind them.
Right.
Do we?
Well, now we're back to AI.
AI
Though.
now.
Can I was going to say, can AI duplicate that now at a fraction of the cost?
Yeah,
Probably,
absolutely.
probably. But yeah, I mean, and I think Ian could absolutely, if we were going to go down that road, I think any of us could have a decent stab at it. But yeah, my feeling is
just to. That's very kind of you, David, but I couldn't write the screenplay for this because I'm far too close to it, and I'm fully aware that it's going to be very different. The key learnings over the last year and a half from me are the focus on money. This has got to be a money making event for the producers, for the everybody involved is not going to be interested in this if it's not making money. So it turns from being an important, true story into something that will actually make money. And so there is a tightrope to walk on that one. And the other thing is these people that we need to get interested in this story are getting them to actually read this at any level is probably the hardest thing that we've got to overcome.
Right. That's another question.
I think that's probably, if we can get people to actually read the story, I think getting the money together to make this whole TV series will actually become quite easy.
The issue with getting a screenwriter that has established credibility is that in itself is going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah, but getting them on board to do that is the first part of it, I think. And what has become clear is to us is that to do this we need a big name.
But it doesn't have to be the screenwriters.
No,
my question or point. We just need one big name. If David and Matt wrote the screenplay and then we get Tom Cruise to back it, David and Matt don't have to be well-known screenwriters, right?
Yeah.
Or we get Spielberg to say he's interested.
Completely. In fact, just talking with Richard Hatton in the last podcast, the one that's currently out, it became clear that one of the screenplays, at least one of the screenplays that Richard wrote, only one line of that entire screenplay that he wrote appeared in the final film. He still got screenplay credits for it because it was roughly the same idea as he had put forward in the first place. And the Writers Guild of America make that decision about who gets credit for it. So it could be a poor screenplay, but if we have a big name supporting this, like Tom Cruise, like George Clooney, like any of these guys, then the door is opened for us to get in there and present what we're really about. And that meeting is where it all turns on the.
I think at this point we're all focused on trying to just get it to that person or that person and throwing things out there so that okay, so if we get some traction on that bit, and then that might give us access to that person, and then that person will, and so on, so that it's not just us presenting it to the final destination agency or person or whatever. Right. We've got the weight of this other, whatever the connection that happens to stick. We've got that connection then.
Yep. And it's happening. I mean, with this terrific guy who is a director with Public Service Broadcasting in America. Public Broadcasting Service? public service. Anyway, PBS. So he said, "Well, we don't make anything; we buy everything, and so we're not in the market to help you in that respect. But I can connect you with some people." And he then connected us with senior vice president with NBC, who gave us some tremendous advice. And we don't let go of those people once we meet them. So PBS and NBC and Hollywood screenwriters and film producers from all over the world, and various
Who's been the
actors as
most?
well, have all been part of this so far, all feeding in great information and keeping us in mind and supporting us. And the amount of support, not just for the podcast, but thereafter, just saying, how's it going and anything else I can do. Tremendous. And the podcast itself, even though if you look at how many people view any particular podcast, the numbers are still, tiny. But there's no shelf life to these podcasts. And I really feel that there's a lot of information in there that if you're thinking about making a TV series or a film, go and check out the past podcasts, because there's some really good stuff in there. We've learned a hell of a lot over the last 18 months.
Yeah. And as Matt is fond of saying, there is no one way to make a film.
Discovering that, right. Who's been the most memorable or impactful person, or maybe you might throw 2 or 3 names out that we've interviewed, and why?
God, you know how to lose friends easily, don't you? I'm not going to say.
I mean, I know you don't want to leave somebody out, right?
I think
this
last podcast where we had Richard Hatton, Mothman Prophecies with Richard Gere, so he's done a lot of great stuff. That was memorable for me because of some of the things that he came out with during that were real nuggets of information. I thought it was really powerful. But we've had great. Lisa Schindler is one of my favorites. I think the podcast we did with Lisa, where we recorded chapter 14 from the book, I think that will remain with me as one of my all-time highlights. And you two were both involved in that recording, and it was just terrific.
You got your acting chops out there, didn't you, Mark?
Yeah. Well, my narration.
Yeah.
I've watched that quite a few times.
I was a fish out of water on that one.
No, not at all, because I've watched that a few times now, and I don't think I appreciated quite what a great job you did in that, Mark. You're not the actor, I'm not an actor, but I thought you did a brilliant job. And of course, David always does a brilliant job, and Lisa just blew the roof off.
I'll definitely second that.
Yeah, she was fantastic. Were there any early misconceptions that either of you had about what adapting this story would involve?
Gosh, that's a good question. I don't think so. I don't think I think I'll be dead before it's on the screen. This is going to take a long time, and I have no doubts about that. And I have. I think there'll be obstacles all the way along the line, and you just got to pass each bridge as you come to it. I think
our naivety might be an asset at this point, because if we been in the business 10, 20 years or whatever, we're a bit longer in the tooth, then we might think, nah, we know what we're getting ourselves in for. But the fact that we knew very little when we started, and every day's a school day, I think that's working in our favor, because we're just sort of enjoying the ride of what can we possibly do next? Okay, it seems to be this. All right. We're finding agents and all sorts.
I think the most blatant misconception we had, I mean, now that we're talking about it, it just popped in my head, is that we thought we could fit this into a movie, when this is clearly a 2-season, 20 episode. This is 10 movies, because if an episode's an hour long, and we're making 20, it's essentially 20 episodes is like making 10 movies.
Mm.
So that's the biggest one, I think.
Yeah.
That's true.
If you
Yeah.
could summarize,
Can I, before we go past this point, can
Sure.
I just say that we would not be here with this? Anyone trying to do this, there's a phrase out there I'm trying to get to. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And this team that's been created through the podcast and trying to get this turned into eventually a TV series, the team that we've pulled together, certainly from my perspective, this is what's kept it going. This is what drives it forward. And I think we're more powerful now than we've ever been as a team going forward to get this achieved. And it's because it's a team. It's not because it's one person, because the amount of energy required to keep this going is enormous. And the energy comes from within the team, bouncing ideas off each other, bouncing support off each other.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
certainly
There's no
true.
way any one of us could do it on our own.
Because I mean, inevitably, I mean, it doesn't matter how enthusiastic you get about the project at one point in time, it's still going to be a bit of a roller coaster where, like, okay, you're feeling a little less motivated this week, but sometimes the team rallies you, and you're like, oh, okay, these are some good ideas. All right, I'm more hopeful. I'm back to the hopeful side of things this week. It definitely takes all of us. Yeah. If you could summarize the central theme or emotional core of this series in one sentence, what would it be?
David, over to you.
Yeah, funnily enough, I happen to have that ready.
Yeah.
What did we say, Ian, the other day? There were two films.
Yeah.
Somebody said it's such and such meets such and such.
Where Eagles Dare meets
Tinker Tailor.
Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Yeah. There you go, Mark.
To find out more about the book, visit tjswar.com. And to buy it, click on the Amazon link below. So follow us, join us as we create TJ's War, the $50 million TV series.